If there is not an objective source of morality, the humanist has no basis for language, grammar, morality, anything.
Language and grammar require objective morality? What planet is this guy from? Let's do this. Greetings, fellow space travelers, BionicDance here. This video is from something called Wretched Radio. No idea who this particular host is, but I guess it doesn't matter. What we have here is a few words about morality, a favorite topic it seems, and obviously people have different ideas about its source, and rarely do they agree. Have a look.
If God does not exist, the Nazis were not wrong.
Oh really? How do you know? Your God has sanctioned some pretty nasty stuff throughout the Bible. How do you know he didn't think that what the Nazis were doing was just hunky-dory?
If God does not exist, love is no better than rape. Not in an objective way, anyway. You just may not like it. It's just unfashionable, perhaps, but it's not really wrong.
Not really wrong? What does that even mean? What's the difference between really wrong and breaking the rules?
If God does not exist, blowing up innocent people watching a marathon is morally no different than feeding the poor.
So are you saying that if there was no God, you'd have no problem going around bombing people, that nobody else should have a problem with it either? Is that what you're saying?
If God does not exist, religious crusades are not wrong.
So you're saying that religious crusades are wrong? According to God, I mean. I'm sure he'll be glad to hear it.
Hitchens kept talking about all the evil religious people were doing in the Crusades. I say, Christopher, I agree with you. Exactly. But you know what? There's nothing wrong with that if there's no God. Because there's no standard of righteousness. If there's no standard of righteousness, nothing can be unrighteous.
Righteousness? Who gives a damn about righteousness? They killed a double-wide buttload of people. I don't want to be killed. Do you want to be killed? I think being killed would really, really suck. Don't you? I don't care if someone is righteous as long as they're not killing me. But if I don't want to be killed, I kind of have to return the favor, don't I? Let me see if I can put this another way. This is a Monopoly board. Well, okay, Star Wars Monopoly. Now you know how to play Monopoly, right? Heck, we all know how to play Monopoly. But why do we know how? Because there's rules, aren't there? But you know what? We don't actually follow those rules all the time, do we? I don't even mean cheating. Did you know that there are rules to Monopoly that nobody uses, that most people don't even know about? Listen to this. Buying property. Whenever you land on an unowned property, you may buy that property from the bank at its printed price. You receive the title deed card showing ownership. Place it face up in front of you. If you do not wish to buy the property, the banker sells it at auction to the highest bidder. The buyer pays to the bank the amount of the bid in cash and receives the title deed card for that property. Any player, including the one who declined the option of buying it at the printed price, may bid. Bidding may start at any price. Did you know about that? I'd never heard that until quite recently, but it's right there in the rule book. Do you play that way? Does anybody play that way? I've never met anybody who plays Monopoly using those rules, ever. They always just buy it at the printed price, or nobody buys it. And then there are all the house rules. Everybody has their own little quirks for how they play Monopoly. Like free parking. What do you do with free parking? Just leave it alone? Do you put a $500 bill under it? Do you put any money people have to pay on luxury tax or income tax under it? Everybody has their own little quirks for how they play with free parking. And what do we do with people who are caught cheating? They don't get to play anymore. Now, how does this relate to morality? Think about it. Who wrote the rules to Monopoly? People did. Kind of like how people wrote the rules for moral conduct. We don't always follow the rules to Monopoly. We don't even know all of the rules. Nobody really minds just as long as they're not getting screwed over, as long as they think it's fair. Everybody has their own house rules, kind of like how every culture, be it ethnic or social, has their own ideas about what is or is not moral. And what do we do with people who are caught cheating? We put them in jail. They don't get to play anymore. That's all morality is. That's all we really need. And you can claim that God wrote the rules instead of Parker Brothers, instead of humanity, but so what? What does that change really?
In fact, tolerance is no better than intolerance. David, with his organization, rightfully fights for tolerance for atheists. But look, if there's no God, why tolerate anything?
Well, if empathy isn't enough for you, then how about self-interest? Because if you don't adopt a live and let live philosophy and start mistreating people who are different, chances are good someone somewhere will get cranky about it and kick your ass.
If we're just overgrown germs that got here by some evolutionary process, then we're no different than any other animal.
And the problem with that is what exactly? Because reading between the lines, it sounds like that wounds your pride more than anything else.
There is no objective morality if there is no God.
There's no objective morality even if there is a God, because that's just God's opinion on right and wrong behavior that we're expected to follow.
Now, by the way, I didn't say atheists weren't good people. I didn't say atheists couldn't know morality. What I'm saying here is atheists can't justify morality.
And neither can you, because there is no difference between saying God says so and saying Mommy says so. And sometimes Mommy can be wrong. Authority does not equal propriety.
Without an objective source, there are only preferences, and you cannot tell me that bullying is bad. You can't tell me what is foul or profane language. You can't even tell me what's good grammar or bad grammar.
Ugh, this guy again. What is this bug up his butt about grammar? I can tell you good grammar from bad in exactly the same way I can tell you you're playing Monopoly by the rules. Are you going to tell me that the systems we've come up with for grammar and games don't matter, and we should, however want speaking, start we? Yeah, that'll work.
Every time somebody makes a statement like, that's prettier, that's better, that's nicer, that's more appropriate, they are actually recognizing, yes, God, you do exist. And this applies to so many categories. Son, you ready, boys?
And it looks like that's a wrap. Oh, phew. Until next time, fellow space travelers, this is BionicDance saying don't run on automatic. Instead, please think. Not rating and subscribing has been found to cause obesity, acne, and male pattern baldness in laboratory rats.